tell that my style is pop art. Some people tell whatever. Some people say that it's a Britto style. And I'm just like, I paint, and that's what I do. I let the critics and I let the experts in the arts to say whatever they want. But in the end of the day, I just paint. I was born in Brazil, and I was 8 years old when I started doing my art. But it was not like what I do today. I never went to art school. I always loved art. I was always there, present in my life. But I never thought that I would become a full-time artist. I definitely did not have all the means that I have today. So I paint on newspaper, cardboards, whatever I could put my hands on. A long time ago, when I couldn't afford to buy all the brush that I can buy now, I used finger paint. I did finger paint with pastel, and sometimes with tempera, all kind of stuff. I love the idea of working with a lot of organizations, companies, corporations that they use art to reach out people, from Mattel, Hasbro, Vodka, Evian, Coca-Cola, Disney, to companies across the world and in Asia that use so many different ways to reach out people. Always very interesting in ways of expressing myself. GST15와 로메로 브리토의 핫한 콜라보레이션. 커피가 아픈데? 지금 GST15에서 만나세요. My color palette is being something that I've been developed for years. First I start using more primary colors, then I start adding pastels, metallics. But I was always very interested, and I was very drawn into vibrant colors. And the yellow that I use and all the blues or the reds, I'm very consistent about those. And some of the colors have been inspired about toys that my son played with when he was growing up. And I have a company that mixes my colors, and then I have this special yellow, this special red, the blues and the greens and so forth. I hope when people see my art, they have a big smile on their face and a huge one in their heart. And every time they see over and over again, they remember something special from their lives, and that's basically, for me, would be a huge accomplishment.
I hope Romero Britto's art inspires you in our next project. Look at the patterns. We're going to use them. Okay, so again, we're going to be using black paper. Find a piece of chalk in your house, or just use a pencil. And we're going to actually draw the shape of a pumpkin. And you're going to start with a decent size oval in the center of your paper. You're going to build your pumpkin around that shape. So the oval, and then on either side, you're going to draw a line, and when you close the line, it makes a shape. And that shape is a crescent. Let's make another one on this side. And as you're going away from the center, they're getting slightly smaller. Okay? Once you have that, then you can draw a very basic shape for a stem. We're leaving large shapes open with not a lot of detail because we're going to use Romero Britto's patterns in our design. If you want your pumpkin to look like it's sitting on a table or on a surface, then you need to draw the line as if it were the table behind your pumpkin. Don't draw through your pumpkin. Otherwise, it's going to look transparent. It has weight. It is a solid. It is a form. It is three-dimensional. You do not draw through it unless it's made of glass. This project is not about that. So you have your line going right through. Then you can use a ruler or a straight edge to make lines that go behind your pumpkin. I'm just going to use the box because I don't have my ruler handy. I'm using my chalk. You can use a pencil. You don't have to use chalk. I'm using a piece of chalk so you can see it. Now I'm going to divide the background up into shapes by using lines. The line goes off the edge and it creates a shape. When you close a line, it makes a shape. So I'm using the edge of the box so my lines are straight. Romero Britto, whenever he draws straight lines, he does not draw it freehand. He uses a ruler or a yardstick or a piece of wood that is long enough for the material he's working with. For the table, if you're going to draw a table, then you can do the same thing you did on the wall. Just break it up into very basic shapes. Okay, once you have that, then you can go back and look at Romero's work, Romero Britto, and you can figure out ways of making his patterns work in yours. I'm going to start in this space with a circle pattern. So I'm going to use a cup. Now my cup has a small side and a large side. You decide. If you have a cup like this, you can make large circles or small circles. You could also use caps of glue or caps of sanitizer to make smaller circles. And the idea in doing this is you're making patterns. So we trace the shape. That's a very large circle. If you want smaller circles, you need to use a smaller container. Okay, and mine's larger because I am using chalk. I recommend that you use pencil. Okay, so this is my pattern for the center of my pumpkin. Now the next one, let's start with stripes in your pattern. Go straight down your shape. And then when we get to color, you're going to alternate your colors. Okay? Now in these spaces, do a different pattern. If you notice in Romero Britto's art, sometimes he uses a flower design. So his flower design is a circle, but since I can't fit the whole circle, I did a semicircle. And now I'm going to add the petals of his very basic cartoon-like flower. He does not add a lot of details because in pop art, you're simplifying and you're making it look like a simple design. That the bright colors, things you see all around us, popular culture. Okay, there's my flowers, maybe a little part of a flower. In this space, I'm going to leave it blank because I want to fill it in with a solid color, and I'll use black pastel instead of the black marker that he used in his design, maybe to do the pie symbol or the line and dot symbol or the flower symbol. But these flowers are going to be colored. Alright, so now we're going to use our oil pastels. And you get to pick your colors. So I'm going to pick two colors similar to what Romero Britto would do. Maybe an orange and a red, or a blue and a green, or opposite colors like a purple and a yellow, or a blue and an orange. I'm going to go with a blue and an orange because they're opposite. So let's start with this shape here. And what I do whenever I'm doing a large shape, I trace the shape first, and then I fill it in as if I were doing a fence and a yard. So I'm filling the yard right now. I don't want any black shapes to show. Okay, we're not blending. This is not a blending project. We are field painting, coloring fields, coloring shapes, solid color. Get rid of the black spots because there's no black on my pumpkin except for when I trace all of the shapes. As you saw on Romero Britto's art, he used a very thick marker to trace his shapes. You're going to do the same thing when we're all finished with our design. But concentrate now on just filling in the shapes. So if I start with this turquoise blue, I think this is my favorite color. Probably why I picked it first. I have my fence. Now I fill in my yard. Okay, once I fill in the yard, then I go back and look for any spots that I found, that I missed. These little pieces, after, we're going to throw them in the garbage. and take your other color. So it happened to be the opposite, which is what we call complementary color. Opposite colors are the complementary colors. Say that. Complementary colors. They're opposite. So the opposite of blue would be orange. Now this is a very yellowy orange, but that's not a true blue. So here we go. Fill that in. You pick your color pairs. When you're doing this design, it's 2 colors per pattern. Okay, I know you're saying, I want to be creative, I want to do something different. Let's learn from Romero Britto first, and then you go off and do whatever you want to do in your own art. Okay, so that's my first section. So what you're going to do at this point is pick 2 colors for each, as I said. The only exception would be these flowers. Maybe the center of the flower can be a bright red, and maybe around can be a different kind of red, maybe an orangey red. And then around the space, that's when I would pick a second color. In fact, this is the only time I would be picking 3 colors because there's 3 shapes. But we're not adding a lot of details. We're keeping it very simple. Pick a couple shapes and fill it in with one solid color. Later, when we trace with the black oil pastel, we'll use the pastel to make simple patterns. Again, for my stripes, I picked complementary colors, red and green. Just pick one color for your stem. Design the background similar to how you did the pumpkin, but with different colors. Okay, once you've finished all of your patterns, all of the colors, then you're going to get yourself a black oil pastel and trace all of your shapes. Carefully trace, because if you go fast, you're going to make a color in another space where it shouldn't belong. See, I just did that there, so slow down so that you can stay inside or on the line of your shape. Go slow, take your time, it's not a race. Remember, you have 2 weeks to do the projects that I give you. Okay, so I trace everything just like that. Trace the flower. You're gonna get dirty on your hands, so make sure you don't touch anything, especially your face, until you're all done. Baby wipes are wonderful. If you have a baby wipe, it comes right off with baby wipe. Oil pastel doesn't wash off with just rinsing with water. You have to rub something on it, like paper, or baby wipes are great. Okay, so you trace all of your lines and your patterns, and then we're going to work in the designs that have solid colors. So now that all the tracing is done, you're going to use the black oil pastel again, and you're going to draw the patterns in the space that's just solid colors, the patterns of the pie, or the patterns of lines and dashes and dots, or the flower design. This one I'm going to show you, I'm going to do the pie, which is a symbol that we use in math when trying to find the size of a circle. Or the diameter. So it looks kind of like a J. This is how he does it. A straight line and line across. So you want to fill it in like a pattern. just like that. I'm going to fill up the whole space. I'm going to go off the edge when you can. So there's that. In this space, let's do the lines, the double lines, and the dots. And he does that on both sides. You can change the angle. And dots. Okay, now in this space, let's do, how about the lines again, but this time without dots. It almost creates a texture, the pattern. Okay, now in this space, I wanted to use the space for the flower design. So he just draws, just like you did in that one, with a circle or a semicircle. And then you just use the space. So this one you can't see the whole flower, but you see part of the flower. And that's all you can see on that one, maybe right here off the edge. So that whole space is filled with the one pattern, but you can't see the whole thing because it's covered. So in here, I'd like to use, let's try the dashes without the dots. And this one I'd like to do the pie. That's it. So that's my design, Romero Britto style. Remember, take a picture and upload it in your assignment. Any questions can be posted in the art channel. Have fun!